So September 25th has come and gone. It was supposed to be this huge D-Day for New Jeans and their ultimatum against HYBE to bring back their New Jeans mama Min Hee-jin as the CEO or else. Well, it had absolutely no big D energy. And that was the genius of HYBE, to deflate that whole day and make it just another ordinary deadline to respond to some workplace matters. HYBE, ADOR met, they decided, and they gave Min Hee-jin a response, an offer, and of course Min Hee-jin didn't like it, but we'll get into it. So wouldn't you know, Min Hee-jin had already prepared her response to what happened on the 25th before the 25th. She held interviews and even an audacious photo shoot on the 14th and the 24th with one of Korea's most prominent newspapers, talking about what was going to happen on the 25th. But she already talked about it on the 24th. And so here she goes saying like, oh, this has been decided with no pre-approval or pre-planning or any discussions. And she's saying that before the actual official date, she got a heads up, essentially. She complaining that this was all done without any prior knowledge to her, but she had a 3-day heads up about what was gonna go down, and HYBE didn't have to do that at all. So again, this constant manipulation of the facts and manipulating things that are above and beyond not necessary to give to Min Hee-jin. She takes it and then complains about it. And here she is. She's trying to whip up her workplace drama of her own doing into some epic tale like it's part of Korea's golden age of cinema. She told this newspaper that, oh, this is like an open execution, a public execution of myself, and it reminds me of the film Joint Security Area. Joint Security Area, or JSA, was made in 2000, and essentially it was about the unexpected friendship between North and South Korean soldiers and some tragic aftermath and investigations and misunderstandings and cover-ups. But you know what? Her case is nothing like that, and it's not about unexpected friendships. That bridge has gone, collapsed, and been burned. It's more of like, it reminded me of Farewell My Concubine, when you're trying to get rid of yesterday's mistress from your house. Yeah, that was the golden age of Hong Kong cinema. So what did HYBE exactly offer her? Well, the board of ADOR met, the board of HYBE met, and they made some decisions. They said, Min Hee-jin, we're gonna give you a solid. We're gonna actually let you stay on as an inside director, essentially have your board seat. You can keep your board seat, but no CEO position. And not only that, you can keep your producer job. You are the main person for New Jeans, not just until the end of your contract, but until the end of New Jeans' contract, which is a total 7-year contract, and they have about 5 years left. You are going to be the main head honcho producer of New Jeans. You get to stay on the board of ADOR, but you can't be CEO. And of course, Min Hee-jin did not like that response whatsoever, and she said that she thinks that this is all just a game, a bit of wordplay. And to be fair, ADOR and HYBE are essentially one and the same thing, right? But as her injunction showed, she was able to manipulate the legal technicality of the difference between ADOR and HYBE and ADOR board of directors and even ADOR shareholders, like really parsing the legal technicality. Because once you are dealing with a crocodile, every tooth matters. And so the board of directors decided that she can stay on the board and then she can have her producing job. But the shareholders have to approve that. So they're going to do the shareholder meeting on October 17th or around there, October 17th. And they're going to put that on the table. And then so HYBE, as the main shareholders of the ADOR shareholders, is supposed to approve it. But then Min Hee-jin is saying like, well, I don't think HYBE is going to approve that. Even though the people who are going to be sitting in the room, essentially it's almost the same thing. You know, like some of those videos where they're just like, let me speak to your manager. And then the person goes, okay, 1 second. And then they turn around and they're like, how can I help you? It's sort of like that over in the HYBE ADOR board of directors shareholders situation, more or less. But according to Min Hee-jin, she can only produce if she's like the Empress of ADOR, making all the decisions, both business and production. But that's more of a fancy way of just saying that she wants absolute dictatorial control. The members of New Jeans in their live press conference and comments even after that have indicated that they also believe that Min Hee-jin must not only be their producer, she's got to be the CEO and she's got to be in charge of everything. What? To basically have absolute power, dictatorial control over their careers. Otherwise, it's not going to work, they claim. Now, Min Hee-jin came into HYBE with the supposed this list of accomplishments from SM Entertainment, and she was not the dictatress over there. She had to always answer to another person. So if she's really all that, she doesn't need to be a dictator. But in any event, it's clear that there's no point in giving her any second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 10th chances anymore, because no matter what the situation is, she's going to smear you with this double standards. It's like this goal that she has to trap you into a fight that makes you lose your concentration, makes you lose your spirit. And apparently people like this do this, especially if they're working with shamans and witchcraft. They take your spirit up, they tie it up in a forest or something, and then they like run around in a circle with a fire or something like that, and they do something with your spirit. So you need to be on guard against people like this, and there's no way for you to keep yourself safe by giving another chance. Jesus, Lord Almighty. So as I said, she's already been on a media campaign herself directly, and then by proxy, by roping in somebody she made as one of her minions, who looks like, geez, he's gonna have probably a very bad ending when all of this is said and done. But what she is doing is making us forget, trying to make us forget what the big sin in the room is. And the latest among her many has been her manipulating KBS and using a taxpayer-funded public broadcaster as her own PR machine that is paid for by the victims of her smear campaign and propaganda. One of the ways that she is cleverly doing this over and over again is trying to essentially be like the last person in the room if there's like a negotiation going on or a competition among different people trying to influence a decision maker, always making sure that she's like the last person in the room. How do you do that in the world of public opinion? She's always trying to make it so that the story is written from her being the last person to rebut, the last person to speak up. It's like describing what happened and then in response to what she said. Now what we're going to do is reverse that and flip that and see how differently this story plays. The same exact story, but we're telling it from the response of HYBE, the full official statement of HYBE to Min Hee-jin's exclusive interview with 중앙일보. And thank you, HYBE, because this one was a more easily sourced statement, a full and clear statement, not posted on Weverse, not posted on a dog's Instagram. So thank you, HYBE, for this. So Min Hee-jin claimed in her article that was published on September 26th, but remember I said that she gave the interviews on the 14th and the 24th, and I don't know where she squeezed in that photo shoot, like she was doing shipping container glam at the port of Mokpo. I don't know where she's fit that in, but it was definitely prepared. Well, she said that HYBE, back when this all first came down in the spring, that HYBE proposed a offer of some money to settle and for her to just leave. HYBE said that absolutely was not the case. We never offered her any money. If you remember, HYBE publicly at least said for her to please leave voluntarily. What I think Min Hee-jin is doing, if she is indeed lying, I think she does want an offer of money to just leave. And she's planting this idea, and she's trying to make it in a way where that she is doing like the power of suggestion, and that if that happens, she can say that HYBE offered first and make herself look good, instead of saying that she was fighting for money to leave now. More manipulation. But then, of course, in a different world where if there were more trust, perhaps to be manipulated, maybe HYBE would fall for this, but they're not anymore. Min Hee-jin also said that the audit was conducted illegally based on impulsive emotions and false facts. And HYBE was like, look, girl, no, we don't do anything impulsively, especially not an audit. The audit was initiated because of ongoing internal and external reports. There was people, remember, we even saw some potential investors she was talking to file a report because they felt like, look, this is crossing the line and we don't want to get wrapped up into it. So they were reporting all along she'd been doing some shady stuff. Remember, she's also been accused of the embezzlement of money from advertisers. Where is that? Reports of the sexual harassment, workplace bullying. Where is that? Reports of plagiarism. Where is that? So she has done the most in throwing out red herrings, and Korean public has been eating it up and putting it into 매운탕. Then HYBE also said that, Min Hee-jin, you have no right to claim that we ever guaranteed you the independence of a Min Hee-jin label. We didn't break any promises. And you can see how Min Hee-jin is trying to have it both ways. She's saying that, well, HYBE guaranteed me complete authority over production and management over my own label, as if she owned 100%. She doesn't. She owns about 18%. And she's now trying to say like, oh, but HYBE is going back on its promises, while at the same time contradicting herself. When she was asked about the whole thing about, well, were you really trying to usurp? But the reporter was saying like, oh, declare your independence. No, she was straight up trying to do a coup, okay? But in that case, she was like, there's no way for me to try to do it independently and be the sole person calling all the shots, because I only have 18%. HYBE is always in control. There is no way for me to try to take over. That makes no sense. So she's trying to do it both ways. And then also, I can't believe she's still using that line, because it doesn't make any sense. Just because you're not a threat now with your 18% does not make you innocent. An 18%er could be doing some devious planning behind the scenes and backstabbing to grow that 18% into 50.1%, which HYBE has the evidence of her doing. Then she went into some strange, weird land about a foreign PR agency distributing defamatory articles against Min Hee-jin, and then roping in the Billboard columnist in South Korea, Jeff Benjamin, who also had to publicly distance himself from this whole mess. So this is also a huge red herring. So for us to try to then take the time to sift through all of this, we're forgetting about her KBS business. We're forgetting about her sexual harassment business. We're forgetting about her plagiarism business, her bullying business, her embezzlement business. All these big things we're forgetting when she's throwing out all of this cheap candy, and people are just lapping it up and trying to figure out how to unwrap and see what's inside, and it's basically nothing. This was an attempt by Min Hee-jin to do a media smear campaign against HYBE to make the claims that HYBE is doing media manipulation, influencing a reporter, making a reporter take a certain angle or edit their stories, or erase or delete the stories and try to smear her. All the things that she's been accused of doing, and it looks like we have her on the record of doing, and she's making up this weird claim that really doesn't hold water to distract any of that language that would come at her for what she has done with KBS, now 중앙일보. And so this reporter that she roped in for this plot was from Seoul Shinmun, and I would guess that the Seoul Shinmun bosses, well, let's just call it Seoul newspaper, probably got wind of this and fired him or made him quit. In any event, he says that he quit. And then the rumors are that he's going to go over and work at Kakao, which basically is a reward by Min Hee-jin to pull some strings and say oh, sorry that this happened to you, but I have a better offer for you over at Kakao. Maybe he'll work there for a little bit, but they're going to fire him somehow. And he's going to really be out on his butt and not be happy with the decisions that he made during this time in 2024. But we'll let that play out. I don't really care. But he said that, and he went on all of this media campaign. He said oh, HYBE was trying to manipulate me about New Jeans album sales. And get this, how do you even say this with a straight face? He's basically saying HYBE was manipulating me to tell the truth. Therefore, they're bad people. How does he even get off on that? This is how. So basically he reported that, New Jeans sold 1 million records in Japan. But really the amount was 30,000 or 50,000, a much lower number. The other about 900,000 were in Korea. So HYBE went to him and said look, you need to correct your story because we need to be very clear and precise about especially album sales. Please correct the misinformation that you made, the mistake you made essentially, and say yes, during this period, maybe there was a total of 1 million, but only 30,000 to 50,000 came from Japan. And he's saying that HYBE was unduly pressuring him to change his story. How do you get off on that? But then that's what he's trying to say and paint, that HYBE is evil. And HYBE at this point definitely needed to be very careful about being accused of inflating album sales, because who was the biggest person during that time in the early summer of this year throwing out accusations against HYBE? saying that, oh, HYBE lies to the media and the press and they try to juice up album sales. It was Min Hee-jin. So, she's trying to have it both ways. She was accusing of HYBE of inflating their album sales, and HYBE was like, we don't do that. Not only do they not do that, they went to a reporter asking him, please fix this erroneous album sales because it makes it look like we're inflating our numbers. We can't have that. And then Min Hee-jin at the same time is saying, oh, that is wrong. They're pressuring a reporter to tell the truth. And then they try to throw in this whole thing. Oh, they're bribing this reporter's boss by asking him to go on a golf game. A lot of business in Korea done through golf. If HYBE didn't also participate, they would be at a disadvantage. I actually think that HYBE doesn't do enough golf, whining and dining and giving bribes, essentially. That's why they're hated. It's like one of these situations. It's sort of like an Elon Musk situation. He's not playing the game. He's not greasing the palms. They're not throwing gravy everywhere. So, if people, when they start continuously criticizing HYBE, but with no real data, I need to see the gravy index, because how much gravy is HYBE giving? If they're giving so much, you know what? You would probably be seeing a media that's covering up a lot of HYBE's sins. But because it looks like HYBE doesn't do a lot of the gravy, and I think they even canceled that golf trip, they are getting attacked more. You don't see a corrupt... Trust me, a corrupt corporation is lauded and given awards, not excoriated like this in the press. Do they do things? They may. Just to be fair and balanced, I have to say they may, even though I have no evidence of it. So we really have to watch ourselves when we're saying we need to be fair and do things on both sides. I have no evidence of HYBE's corruption. So why should I say that, oh, well, they probably do that just to be fair? And did you hear that New Jeans, their huge fan meeting in Korea got canceled or postponed? Their album got postponed. And Min Hee-jin is trying to blame that on HYBE, but HYBE say, no siree. Min Hee-jin is in charge. Min Hee-jin has delayed decision making. They even went so far as to say she went on too many vacations. Or she probably bicycled over or took a scooter to her shaman. Maybe in the woods, in the mountains, some remote village. That's probably where all her vacation time PTO is going. Min Hee-jin is not only manipulating the 중앙일보, which is sort of on the level of KBS in terms of a national reputation. She sullied KBS's reputation. Now she's sullying 중앙일보's reputation. She already sullied 경향신문's reputation. She, by association, not good. But if you are actually the owner of any of these entities or institutions and you're not the one being roped in by Min Hee-jin, a Min Hee-jin can actually help you identify the weak points and the weak people who are shady in your company. So if they're going along with Min Hee-jin, that is an easier way for upper level management or the owners or the shareholder class to kind of see down into the organization and see who are the problem people who are pretending they're not problems, but they are actually big problems. So HYBE, yes, they were muted in their response, but they shady too. They shady. At the end of their response, their official response, they said girl, just get back to work. Okay, you need to do your job. Not only have you failed in this whole rigmarole, but there's no fan meeting anymore in Korea, and the album is delayed because you off on too many vacations not responding to your emails, and that this lack of communication actually they were implying that it's like grounds for dismissal of an executive. So see how when we tell the story fairly, this time from HYBE's perspective, in terms of their response leading the story, then we already talked about what Min Hee-jin had said. And then we also did talk about how HYBE responded to it. And you remember more of the HYBE position when you structure a story like that. So be careful out there. And we can see how she has been manipulating the media so that she can have the reporter retell the story, but always end on her arguments, her analysis, and have that be the lasting flavor in the story in your mind. So what about New Jeans? The big speculation was that on the big D-Day, they were going to also drop an injunction or a lawsuit, essentially trying to take a legal maneuver to cancel their contract and get out of it without paying. You know, at any time, they can break their contract and pay up a lot of money. Essentially, it's all of the money that they would have earned for the next 5 years. And so the estimate is about $240 million. So in order to avoid that, they could take some sort of legal action, and the judge could agree with New Jeans and ADOR, but most likely at this point, it doesn't look like they have any legal grounds to do that. And I think that's part of HYBE, you know, trying to keep the side chick in the house, because there's, in this way, you can show to any legal judge or argument is that we are letting Min Hee-jin stay and be the producer. Not only that, we're letting her stay and be on the board. So if the side chick actually had some kids with, you know, the daddy of the house, the head wife, you know, because if this is a house of concubines, the head wife can be like, look, I'm not kicking out the mother of these children. We're keeping her in the house where she can have a close eye and leash on, and say, like, she can also have a hand in the household decision making, but she's gonna be outvoted, and you know there's gonna be no way for her to run any sorts of games. But at the same time, it is still, I think, a generous risk on HYBE's part by keeping her in the house. She shouldn't be in the building. You know how they say the call is coming from inside the building? That is always the worst. It's the betrayers are always, they already have a key card to the building. That's who's going to betray you the most. So New Jeans did not do anything. They did not make any maneuvers. They've been essentially silent, or just like trying to run mini games like their mother. A stupid photo that had one of them missing became a story. Like, just because Honey wasn't in a group photo of New Jeans, they're trying to make this into a story about like, oh, she's being, like, imply that she's being targeted by HYBE. All of these things with no evidence and just implications. And then when you're pressed on it, you're justifying your evidence as a feeling. Oh, I felt like I was disrespected by the chairman of HYBE in the elevator. And so it's really telling that Min Hee-jin, it looks like she's getting a lot more desperate in her arguments, because she's trying to accuse the other side of running on feelings and emotions. It's becoming very obvious. Like, your game is becoming extremely obvious. You're always accusing HYBE of doing things that you're guilty of. And they're just trying to be classy, mindful, demure when dealing with the side chick that won't get out of your house. So guys, what do you think? Do you think HYBE's response was a little bit too muted, or do you think they should have been more aggressive or firm about it? At this point, in my opinion, if she continues on and does not accept the generosity that has been shown her, I think now it's time for HYBE to bring out the K-Diddy. The K-Diddification, the CSI, Child Protective Services, laptop or not, bring the K-Diddy and see what kind of K-Diddlin was going on. So she should quit while she's ahead. All right, guys, put your comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.